Below is a creative style feature article on 90 Day Fiance. Sophie Sierra breaks the internet with her hottest girl gang reunion, baddest of the bunch. It blends what we know from her media profile with dramatic flair and speculative color. Feel free to ask me to revise or tailor tone or drama level further. When Sophie Sierra dropped the bombshell post announcing her girl gang reunion, the internet collectively gasped, double-tapped, and slid into the DMs asking, who is she bringing, and who's getting shaded? Within minutes, social media threads exploded. Sophie, once a breakout figure on 90 Day Fiance, had just lit the match under a new kind of spotlight, one of alliances, power, and unapologetic self-assertion. A reunion with a purpose. This wasn't your average brunch with friends. It was billed as the baddest of the bunch, a reunion drenched in style, confidence, and zero apologies. When Sophie shared cryptic behind-the-scenes clips, hair glistening, high heels clicking, laughter sharp as knives, fans knew this was a moment of reclamation. Gone was the narrative of the wronged wife or the heartbroken bride. In its place, the architect of her own story. The reunion signaled something deeper. A message that Sophie Sierra was not here to beg for validation, she was here to command it. From reality star to social media storm, to understand the weight of this reunion, you have to know the journey. Sophie first captured hearts and headlines on 90 Day Fiance. As she navigated a fraught marriage with Rob Warren, the relationship was rife with cheating scandals, social media betrayals, and identity revelations. Sophie came out as bisexual to Rob midstream in their marital saga. Rob's repeated online cheating episodes put Sophie in a position where she had to fight to define her own boundaries, her own worth, and her own narrative. Their marriage teetered under the weight of secrecy, distance, and fractured trust, but as the dust settled from their breakup, Sophie began to lean into social media influence, fashion, transformation, and increasingly, her own power. Through posts about self-confidence, glowing looks, and public statements about her past, she was slowly reclaiming the voice that the 90-day plotlines often tried to rob her of. So when she teased a girl gang reunion, the world recognized this was more than a meet-up. It was a power play. The cast of queens. Though Sophie didn't immediately name all the players, fans speculated eagerly. Who would she summon? Friends? Allies from 90-day circles? Or fresh faces from the influencer circuit? The title Baddest of the Bunch implied competition as much as camaraderie. Some of the rumored names spun around women she's had previous alliances or friction with. For instance, Thais Ramone. Sophie and Thais have had public moments of unity and drama, notably when they both confronted Loren Brovarnik during a tell-all for leaving early. Many viewers slammed it as a gang-up moment, whether Loren was fair game or not. Sophie and Thais acted as a unit, a taste of the girl gang in action. In other corners of social media, fans wondered if the gang might include influencers, brands, or just powerful women Sophie respects. Either way, the idea was, this would be an elevated table, and she was hosting. The optics were everything. The social media tsunami within hours of posts going live. Comments flooded in. Some cheered her on with praise and fire emojis. Others called it clout chasing, or accused her of dragging exes back into the narrative. The classic swirl around Sophie's name once she steps near anything dramatic. There's a tension familiar to reality TV figures. When you assert yourself, people call it attention-seeking. When you stay quiet, they say you've vanished. Sophie's at the point where silence alone was no longer enough. A few things stood out in the reactions. She looked unshockably stunning. The reunion footage showed her radiating confidence, tailored outfits, perfect hair, fierce stares. It was the kind of imagery that says, I know what I want, and I'm not asking permission. She didn't wait for permission. By putting the reunion out there first, she put any narrative control in her hands. Any spin would have to respond to her framing, not the reverse. The comments section became a theater. Some accused her of trying to overshadow Rob's ongoing spotlight. Others said she was reclaiming her power, turning the page to her next chapter. Either way, it made noise. What it means, beyond the drama, let's parse the deeper significance here. Beyond the memes and gossip. 1. Solidarity over silence. For too long, reality TV women have been pitted against each other, manipulated into conflict. Sophie's reunion is a statement that women can choose solidarity over rivalry. That sometimes your strongest moves happen not in monologues but in alliances. 2. Rewriting the narrative. When Sophie came onto 90 Day Fiance, the emotional arcs were largely controlled by production, by framing, by edits. Now, with her own platform, she can reclaim some of that power. The girl gang is strategic. It signals that she is no longer accepting isolation from the narrative tools. 3. A new era of influence. Sophie's been building as an influencer, a beauty/fashion figure, a personality beyond the show. A reunion like this positions her not just as a former reality star but a curator of her own brand universe, one that includes her friendships, her message, her style, her alliances. 4. The power of optics in reality TV and social media. Optics often are reality. Every pose, every laugh, every side glance is loaded. By staging the reunion visually, Sophie controls what millions see and interpret: strength, connection, beauty, and even a dash of danger. What to watch next? Who shows up? The actual lineup. Fans will reveal a lot of Sophie's alliances and possibly points of tension she's willing to confront. How the world responds. From fans to 90-day gossipers, the reaction will map the terrain Sophie now navigates: supporters, critics, doubters. What they do together. Will there be content? A project? A venture born of this gang? A collaboration? A podcast? A branding moment? If she uses it to close old chapters, with Rob still part of her public past, this gang could be the ceremonial cutoff she needs. The final word. Sophie Sierra's Hottest Girl Gang reunion isn't just a reunion, it's a statement. It's her saying, "I will not be silenced. I will not wait for redemption. I will take the center stage on my terms." And in a world where reality stars are too often shaped by external expectations, Sophie is giving us a glimpse of someone trying to be the author of her own narrative. Yes, there's drama. Yes, there will be critics, but there's also power. And sometimes, watching a woman decide she's going to play the game her way is the hottest kind of spectacle. If you like, I can polish this into a magazine-style version, or do a version focusing more on the teleseries side or the fan backlash. Do you want me to send you a revised version?